before you add more inventory to it is going to allow you to have a good workflow.
Yep.
Because if you don't have a good workflow, it'll all pile up all over again.
Welcome, everybody, to Paper Gold, an ongoing book hunters conversation. This is our offshoot program on YouTube, which is all about deep dives into our members' stores and their questions. We call this Excavation, Paper Gold Excavation, and this is episode 2. We have two of our wonderful members today with us. We have Ned and EJ. We're going to have them introduce themselves real quick, and then we're going to jump into our conversation, which will last 60 minutes. So, Ned, do you want to start with the introduction for us?
Sure. I'm Ned. I run Dynamo's Bookshop online. Right now, we're in St. Louis. The goal is to get an actual bookstore, but you gotta build up the capital for that.
Hi, my name's EJ, and I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I've been selling primarily FBA for the past little over a year, and just found Paper Gold, and that got me into eBay, and which is already going great. And do mostly FBA, starting to do a little consignment and the vintage stuff, and happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a great match for everybody here because we have Amazon covered, eBay covered. We obviously have some whatnot questions as well, and we have I know EJ, you have some shipping questions, particularly along with some Amazon and eBay questions. Real quick though, before we start with the questions, EJ, talk to us about the transition from adding eBay to your Amazon revenue stream.
Okay, bipolar is what comes to mind. Because first of all, I made the mistake of kind of starting off with a death pile, because I was just intimidated. I did my first couple listings, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I got great pictures, but I think the pictures took me longer than anything. And yeah, then just finally got into more listings, was like, okay, this isn't so bad. I'm figuring it out. And I've listed 14, sold 6. My lowest sale has been $90, my highest for 1,000. So I should probably quit whining and just admit that eBay is pretty awesome. But it is going from Amazon, where you can list,
right,
once you're in the flow and have the right software, you can list 50 to 100 items an hour, to eBay, where it's, minutes per, if you're good. It's a big transition.
Right. But the one thing that we always say in the Thursday night Zoom calls is you do not have to do one or the other. You can always do both. You can create both revenue streams. And there are positives and negatives to both of those streams. But it sounds like out of 14 books and you've sold 6 and you're a couple $1,000s already, and the profit, you're doing amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Ned, can you talk to us real quick just about the idea and the vision of having a bookstore?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I've got tons of books. So I would like to get to a brick and mortar, but I when I started out, I wasn't listing on Amazon. I was barely listing on eBay. I was listing on just Libris and Biblio primarily, and that doesn't make any money. I mean, I do like those platforms, but Amazon's 75% of the book market,
Right.
and the other 25% is almost all eBay.
Mhm.
So I have been listing a lot on eBay
Okay.
recently, and with a lot of success. I've been going through my highest priced books and just listing those on eBay. And I just started an Amazon account to sell on Amazon. I've been listing my higher priced books. I haven't sold anything on Amazon because it's literally been like the last few days. And I've been struggling. I'm trying to get my sort of lower price books. If they don't have any offerings on Prime, I'm going to ship those in for FBA.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna definitely get to that part of the conversation because we saw that in your questions. All right, Cody, I'll let you begin.
All right. Well, we started with both people on Amazon last week, so let's I think EJ, you have more eBay related questions.
Mhm.
So let's start with you, EJ. I
Cool.
know we have your questions that you wrote out for us, but what worked out really well last week, and I think would be good for us now, is let's start with, if there was one thing that you could resolve, that like you could get figured out today, what would that one thing be to improve any side of your business? It doesn't have to be eBay.
I gotta say, having a eBay listing system that I feel really good about, and that even if it's 5 minutes per listing, that I know that's what it takes me, and it's a high quality listing, and it's just yeah. There's right now there's sort of an anxiety about it,
So
if
like
that
so
makes.
so correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more so you're trying to be as efficient with your time as you possibly
Mhm.
can, as well
Yeah.
as making sure that you're creating an accurate listing to that's going to get
Yes.
traction for
Yeah.
sales. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That definitely
I
is a
mean,
great
I guess
question.
to give people who might watch this in the future a little more context, like my long-term goal is to create a business that, I don't have to spend more than 5 or 10 hours a week on. And I want to move overseas out of the country,
Mhm.
and be able to do that. And I know it's going to take me, some time, a lot of time and sweat equity and capital to get there. But yeah, so going into this from the beginning, I have, and my Amazon right now is going, I'm very happy with it. It's paying my bills. And so I want to go into eBay like right foot from the beginning, not form bad habits, not get wonky systems, and yeah, just started out on the right foot.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, Max is definitely going to be the one to help you with that, to know the best way of processing that.
So EJ, one thing that I would ask you first, which is going to be a question, which is, are you looking to get a certain number of listings done each day, or are you looking to get a certain price done each day? So do you
Mm.
want to list $3,000 worth of inventory, or do you want to list 10 to 15 to 20 books a day? Because, that's the way we can deduce this, work backwards to understand where you want to be.
Okay. I really like that. I hadn't even thought about listing per dollars per day. I love that. At this point, I feel like numbers, because I want to set the standard in my business that books come in, they're processed, listed, and ready for sale, and not get these death piles.
Right.
Um, that's so I guess numbers would take the priority.
Right. So, and I know we briefly talked about what you have upcoming in your business. So I agree. I think numbers is definitely the best way to go. Um, are you looking to hire someone to help you in this venture, or are you doing everything yourself right now?
No, definitely looking to hire somebody. I have a business partner who is currently handling logistics and the business side of things, getting us business cards, setting up website, tracking software, etc.
Okay.
And as soon as possible, I'd like to find a sort of an intern
Okay.
that I can train and get help. And
Right.
yeah.
I'm also going to lean on Cody a little bit with this question. How are you going to differentiate between a solid eBay book and a solid Amazon book, or something that could be on both platforms? Would you cross post that?
Um, event, yeah. I mean, as soon as I have that system set up with the cross listing
Right.
software, I don't know. I'll be interested to see at this point. From the little bit I've done, I found it. I like to start with Amazon. If I can find a listing for something on Amazon that I'm happy with, it is a solid
Yeah.
listing,
Right.
I'm gonna start there. Because it's so much quicker. But
Right.
eventually, it seems silly to. I mean, I just sold a $100 book that's like a $40 book on Amazon just because it's autographed
Right.
on eBay.
I have pretty much the same sort of workflow. As if there is a listing for it on Amazon, that's where it goes. And then it's that other 10% of books, that you get that are good books, but you just can't find Amazon listing for. Those are typically going to be, just these oddball interest, like maybe like what I think of as like a gun catalog. I just picked one up just a few minutes ago. There, you know, you're gonna be hard pressed to find that on Amazon, but that doesn't make it not a good book. So absolutely incorporating that into uh, for me, Amazon first, eBay second, especially if your main business model is based off of Amazon, do that. Especially if your concerns are time management, you know, like making sure you're valuing your time the right way. You can definitely do really well by targeting Amazon first. And a side note, you know, if you're doing merchant fulfilled along with these your eBay books, especially if you have collectibles, you know, if you take the pictures, you can have that eBay listing for it for cross listing, and also have pictures to make your listing on Amazon stand out from the others by having pictures of the book that you have too.
Are you going to do all of your research on a box of books first and then say, okay, these boxes are destined for Amazon and this box is destined for eBay? Or are you just going to go one at a time sitting at your desk? Because this is all part of the process.
Like, are you talking about this big buy I'm looking at,
No, I'm just
or
talking
in
about,
general?
I'm just talking about if you had a box of books in front of you now,
Okay.
we're having this conversation. Are you currently going one at a time, or are you going through a couple boxes at a time, separating
Ah,
and then deciding I have my eBay books here, I have my Amazon books here?
yeah. So far the second one.
Okay,
I'll go through. I mean, because it's only like basically my eBay stock is mostly a next door pickup.
okay,
One, it was an awesome pickup, and so I've just been good. Yeah, been going through, and then I got, okay, here's my 20 eBay listings, and then here's my 5 Amazon listings from that, and these are the merchant fulfilled ones. So I got those up, and yeah,
beautiful. So what I would say to you going forward is the number that I always use for people who are brand new or starting to elevate their business on eBay is I would love to see 10 listings per day. Of course, your listings that when you start are going to take a little bit longer than they will in 30 days. In 30 days, you and I are probably having a different conversation about the amount of time it takes. But there are also sort of little tricks and hacks to go along with this. Without an employee, without, when you're just doing everything yourself, one of the things I used to do is I used to take pictures of all the books I'm going to be listing on eBay that day. So when I was teaching at school and I was on my planning period or I was at lunch, those pictures were on my phone and I was able just to make the listing on my free time or as I'm waiting to go into the dentist office. So wherever I am, there's always an advantageous time if you have those pictures in your camera, in your phone, to be able to pop those pictures into the eBay listing you're creating. Now, that doesn't mean I'm just taking 12 pictures of the book. I mean, I may take 20 to 30 of the book and then play with those, 10 to 15 best pictures for that listing. But if I'm working at home, if I know I have a nice day at home, you don't have to do it that way. You can just be at home, take your pictures with your phone, with your background drop in front of you. But 10 a day is definitely where I'd want to be. Um, and then as you hire someone and they get better at it, I would love to see, 10 to 20 per hour. And we're going to be talking a lot about this on Thursday. We're going to go real deep dive on this on Thursday with the employee session. But when you're doing it yourself, there's always other things that get in the way. Your phone rings, you're responding to an offer. But if you hire an employee, there's less break of time and they're able to get more listings up. But of course, with everything you have about to go on, I would definitely be jumping into that employee avenue. But the best thing for you to do is you get all the listings up you can right now. You're still learning and you're
Mhm.
going to find the greatest flow that works for your business and you'll be
Yep,
able to pass that down to the employee or the employees you hire.
exactly. Yep.
Something that I would say too, kind of trailing on that is if what you're doing is, since we kind of have a similar business model, those books or whatever it might be that you're going to put on eBay, most of the time, at least for me, when I find that it's an eBay book, I find a comp for it on another platform. I'm able to see what I should be pricing that book at. Go ahead and have yourself your sticky note that you're going to write down what that price is ahead of time, because if not, you're doing it all over again when it comes back down the line,
Yeah, I'm
to
finding that.
listing it.
Yeah, the pricing. Oh
Yes.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you've already done it kind of. It almost. I'd love to figure out a way to just. I think I'm going to start bringing those out in the wild, and like when I get my first little price comp in the store or
Hmm.
at the estate sale, whatever, jot that down then.
Yeah. Yeah, that works. That works just as well. Max, if you don't mind, I think this kind of leads into workflow, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
this could affect both Ed and EJ, and since they both seem to have primarily targeting Amazon, I want to talk a little bit about what my workflow is and a way to
Yeah.
save you time and move forward with that. So I know we did talk about this a couple weeks ago on the show, um, but it is pretty simple for me. Okay, so the first step is does it have a barcode? If it's got a barcode, obviously you can just scan it. Now, if it doesn't have a barcode, my second step, does it have an ISBN on the back of the book? If it doesn't, I flip inside the book. Does it have an ISBN in the copyright page? Go ahead and scan for that ISBN right then and there. Don't put it to the side for your research because you've already got it in your hand. You've already checked to see if it has one. Scan it. You've got the OCR on your Scout IQ or whatever tool you're using. Go ahead and do that. Now, if there's no barcode and there's no ISBN, the next one is going to be what's on the cover of that book. Okay, is it easily identifiable? Now, easily identifiable to you and me is not the same as what Amazon might think. Okay, so you could have a book that just has a couple words. Like there's no way it would pick that up. It can. So I would try and target those and have those in a pile where you can process those while you're pulling through everything. So you kind of have two different options on that front. You can either put those to the side to scan those with the picture at Amazon's picture app as you're processing, or put them to the side and do it at the end. But the last step, if it doesn't have a barcode, doesn't have an ISBN, doesn't have an easily identifiable cover, those are all my research books. Those always go in a box or in a tote or whatever as I'm processing, because those take up the majority of your time when you're processing everything. So you can get through the bulk of your inventory doing it this way. And you want to get through the bulk of your inventory. It doesn't mean you're not going to put time and dedicate time to process those. It's when you, especially, EJ, you're getting this massive collection. If you can get through, 70% of it in a couple weeks, you can get through 70% of it in a couple weeks by doing that exact sort of flow. And then
Mhm.
instead of paying for a large warehouse space to do this, you can have a smaller unit that you can pay for, and that's going to save you on your costs for doing that sort of stuff as well. And then obviously, lastly, if you can't find it on any of those, that's when it goes to eBay. So at least on my end, if I can find a comp for it, it goes there. If I can't find any comps for it, unless it's something unique or special, I tend to show it to Max. I'm like, hey, do you know what this is? And if he doesn't, then that usually you got to be willing to move on. Be
Yeah.
willing to move on past your stuff, and we'll get
Cody,
there.
Cody and I talk about specific books every day of our lives.
Hmm.
We don't, but we're not spending 10 minutes on a book. I mean, he's giving me his opinion. I'm giving him my opinion. We're talking about any factual evidence we may have based on research, but I can guarantee you the next line of books is ready to go. I mean, we're not wasting too much time. It's very important. I mean, you can look behind me, you can look behind Cody, you can look behind Ned. We all got books. Books are not the problem. The problem in our businesses is preventing us from working and workflow. So if we can be as organized as we can and not do things twice, you are subsequently going to make more money.
Backtracking for a second because I didn't mention this. If you find a book on Amazon, right? and it's not a barcode or an ISBN, write down the ASIN for that book immediately. If you like, for me, I have Palette IQ, so I can click print, and it prints out a barcode that's associated with the ASIN. You guys are both familiar with what the ASIN is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you mean that like on Amazon, these would be the ones that start with a B, the seller created ones?
Any of them. If you find the listing and it's a good
Uh-huh.
book that you're going to list yourself, right?
Yep.
Go
Yep.
ahead and write down on your sticky note
Okay.
the ASIN for it. So
Okay.
and
Then
it'll
I'm gonna
be
be
on.
doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's going to be, because that
Okay.
again is another, it's the same concept as go ahead and price it ahead of time for eBay. Go ahead and write down the ASIN ahead of
Yep.
time, so you're not having to look that book up again. And in addition to that, make sure that if it's a book where, the prices are wrong, or there's no accurate, or there's no listings, and you're checking Keepa, go ahead and write down on that sticky note what that price should be, what you need to
Yeah.
what you're going to
Gotcha.
need to price that book at, because again, you're already there, you've already done the research. Just do it right then and there, and you'll save yourself. It may seem like seconds, it may seem like minutes, which it is in some cases, but when you multiply that times 50,
Mhm.
that's a large portion of every day that you could be saving by spending an extra 3-5 seconds writing the stuff down ahead of time.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. And that's going to be easier moving forward because I'll just have like a dedicated warehouse
Mhm.
space
Hmm.
where I can spread out. Whereas now, like I do that in the wild in the thrift stores, but I still end up scanning, flipping back and forth modes because I want to still keep their shelves neat, keep, the history books with the history. And it'd be nice to just have a cart and roll it around and just
Well,
wait until
well,
the end, but that's
the
kind
thing
of a
is
jerk.
you can. That's not, it's not a jerk move. It's not, because it's a jerk move if you
You're
throw
right.
things
You're right.
throw things in a
It's in my
cart
head.
and then you don't put it back, and
Mhm.
you're not clean and neat when you do it, because that's what I do. Like, it depends on where I go. Some stores where it's dead and nobody's there, if I've got, as I'm scanning, if a book doesn't have a barcode, I just tilt it on its side,
Okay.
and I keep going through, and then my next step is, does it have an ISBN? Check it. If not, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
the
yeah. I like
alternative
that.
is just pull those books, especially you'll get an eye for this sort of stuff. Pull the
Oh
books, like,
yeah.
maybe, and just put them in your cart. Have a separate stack in your cart for them,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
as you process them, just put them back up on the shelves. It's
yeah.
not a it's a dick move to, like, to leave stuff in disarray when you leave. Is There's no problem with going through the stuff. That's what they want you to buy it.
Mhm. I'm still working through that. That's more of a personal development and personal
Mhm.
growth issue for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Not wanting to be in
Just
the way, not validating my like, oh yeah, I'm helping them too.
Yeah, like I said, there's no problems with no store is going to be mad at you pulling and flipping through and doing stuff unless you leave it in a mess. Like, there's plenty of
Mhm.
stores that I come behind. I like to
Yeah.
clean up the store as I
Same.
go through.
I know, same.
And
Yep.
that's also a selling point for when
Mhm.
you go and say, "Hey, do you have any more books in the back?" And
Yep.
that's a big part of my business model is I work with a lot of thrift stores, and I buy out their back inventory. I don't even touch their shelves anymore, because I know when new inventory comes in, 98% of it it goes straight to me. So it's always the duds that are left sitting on the shelf.
All right, Cody, what do we have for Ned?
Well, Ned, that's a question for you,
Well,
sir.
I had a question about eBay since we're on the subject of it.
Sure.
Uh, and that's about promoting listings. Do you promote listings like all the time? And do you do dynamic or fixed? And if
Right.
fixed, at what rate?
Yeah. I never promote listings. I think
Okay.
I think if you're buying good inventory, that's all the promotion you need. I don't think you have to give eBay more money to make your item at the
Yeah.
top of the screen. I think there is a time for promoted listings, but it's not the category that we're meeting about here today. categories that need promoted listings or tend to be saturated and highly competitive, such as Nike shoes, or the shoe market,
Right, right.
or Funko Pops. Of course,
So when you're saying, like, when somebody is looking for a book, they're looking for a specific book, and there's no need to
yeah,
promote.
I'm 100% a believer in list good inventory, and the buyers will buy them.
Okay.
There's nothing special you have to do to promote it. You
Well,
can
you just increased my revenue stream by 10%.
Yeah. No,
Because
of
I'm not
course.
going to
Yeah,
promote.
I mean, if you go back to our earlier episodes or some of those Zoom calls, I'm almost getting angry with the people who are doing promoted listings in the group,
Yeah.
just because I want you guys to pocket the money. eBay does not need to make that money in the book market for promoted listings. Even if you were selling some common books, even if you were selling a Louisa May Alcott book, you still don't need to promote it. That common book, those common titles by her sell every day on eBay. You do not need to promote your edition or your volume over somebody else's. Yours is going to get sold as long as you have a great title and great pictures. You know what I believe in? There is competition out there in the book market. So make your pictures and make your title better than everybody else's. And I think that's the greatest thing we can do to help you right off the bat, is just make sure you're doing great work on the title and the pictures. As far as fixed price and auction, I do run auctions every week. I do at least 5 to 10 auctions a week. But those are also books I'm not afraid of letting go. I'll start my auctions at $9.99, and if it sells for $9.99, I'm still fine with it. I think Cody made a point of this earlier. You gotta not be afraid to let go of things. We don't have to have 50,000 books surrounding us at all times and unsure of how to sell them. List them, price them, and sell them. Because you have thousands of books in your warehouses, you're never going to run out of inventory. You're never going to have the perfect price for every book you sell. Some things you might sell for a little bit less, and some things you might sell for a little bit more. And in the end, it all evens out. And for me, it's all about your daily, your weekly, and your annual number that you're trying to get to. As long as you know you're trying to get to that number and you're on the right path, it doesn't matter if you sell one book for $12 lower than the last person sold it for. Hit your daily number, do that 365 times a year, then you make your annual number, and then you're doing great business.
So that goes to another question I had, which is, you think futzing over your prices, like even if you got competition from one of the Thriftwad or whatever, one of those big warehouses where they price their books every single day.
Right.
Like,
So
that's a waste of time, you think?
make your titles better. Most often, and we know the names of these companies, but most often they're taking one shot of that book. And it's oftentimes
I always take a lot of
a
pictures.
stock photo.
Yeah.
So take 10 to 15 pictures of the book you have, and let the prospective buyer who wants to see the exact condition of the book see yours, and yours is going to sell because one of those companies that is just dealing in volume has the stock photo, and you do not know what you're getting. You really do not know. It's a mystery book when it comes in the mail, because they're giving you a vanilla response of what it could be. It may or may not have handwriting. It may or may not have a dust jacket. So, for $4.99 and free shipping, you are buying a mystery book. But with the listing that you're about to do, you're going to have 10 to 15 photos. And the prospective buyer who really cares about condition, I believe, will pay a few more dollars because they know what they're getting from you, and then you build your relationship with that customer.
Max, have you ever used videos?
I have, when I had more collectibles in my store. At one time, I was selling a very large Peanuts and Snoopy collection, and I had a lot of music boxes, and so I would use some videos for that.
That
to
makes
make
sense.
sure they worked. I don't really do that now. This will sort of taper off into Ned's later questions. But for videos now, you can just use the Whatnot platform, which I know Ned is on, and you can just show the book in its entirety on that platform.
Okay.
That isn't to say if you have a $10,000 book, there's no reason I would say, yeah, make a 3-minute video, put it on YouTube, put the link on your eBay description.
Mhm.
That might be a great help to sell that book. But those
I'm
are
just
for
trying
high-end books.
Yeah, and I was also thinking from a perspective of, I mean, I don't know, you probably know if videos engage, how much they engage the potential buyer, but I'm just thinking if there's a way I can even put a book on like a stand that goes around and
Yeah.
just very quickly, and my thing becomes I take 3 to 5 pictures in one video instead of,
Yeah.
15,
Well,
20
very
pictures.
quickly it's going to fly
That's
off the
quicker.
stand.
Yeah, yeah, I know. My
Well,
my business
yeah,
my
they do
business
that.
partner is a total nerd, so I'm
Right.
trying to get him to build a robot. Um, and also you make I've been thinking like a great advantages of eBay is you can give the person as close to an approximation of that wonderful in-store buying experience where
Right.
you can actually hold a book in the hand, flip through the pages, look at the illustrations, just like you're talking about it. So it's like finding that balance of doing that and not having it take forever.
Right. The
Uh,
rule I have in my store with my employees is we take a minimum of 12 pictures of every book. If it's a more expensive book or has condition issues, we're going to go up to the 24 picture limit. But I always say to them that, we're allowed 24 pictures. If we need them, take them. Don't be afraid to take 24 pictures of a book. If that's what it takes to sell the book, then that's what we have to do. It's not going to take that much extra time to take those pictures. I buy books every once in a while on eBay, and it's very difficult for me to buy books from a bookseller who doesn't have at least 10 pictures of that book if I'm worried about the condition of the book. And I think that's one way that I preach that we could separate ourselves from a lot of the competition we face on eBay, which is, use pictures as a way to target more buying power for the prospective seller and buyer.
what would you say if you were to target the biggest pain point you have right now in your business? What would that be?
Well, right now my biggest pain point is trying to figure out Amazon. I've just
Okay.
started selling on Amazon like within a week. So even getting the first FDA list shipment, I don't
Well,
know how to, like it says add an address, but then it won't let me
so
add an
so are
address.
you shipping directly using Amazon's website to do your Amazon shipments?
Yes.
Okay, for FBA?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is first, get the 14-day free trial. I mean, this is the one that I recommend, which is Go-To-Lister. Okay, Go-To-Lister. Your the amount I think it's what 40. I think it's like $40 a month after that. We have a link
It's
for it in
it's 50
Discord.
bucks. But
Okay,
it's
yeah,
50 bucks, but
yeah,
they have like free they'll earn your business.
yeah. You're going to take your listing time, and it'll take like 5% of what time it takes you right now to do an FBA box to send in. And there's plenty. I don't, not that I don't want to do it, but I feel like your time will be better if you were to like look. They have tutorials on the website as well as far as how to
Okay.
do it, and YouTube has others as well. Um, because I want to keep rolling, like kind of targeting what these questions are more so than go into super depth on those types of things. Um, but yeah, that would be the very first thing you should get. They have 14-day free trial to start with. And that's going to take your listing time and divide it into, I mean, just a fraction of what you're doing right now for listing. And are you aware of how to, besides looking at if it's red or green, how to see if a book is profitable on Amazon based off of the what's listed, what people have the prices at, and e-score and rank? Do you know how to read those at all?
Nope.
Okay, this is why we're here.
Perfect.
So this is going to be something that I think you should you now have access to a tool. like you said yourself, Amazon has 75% of the book market, right? So if you can look on there and you can see, okay, does this book sell? You'll know if it sells in general, right? Yeah, obviously that's just on Amazon's marketplace, but if they hold the majority of the book sales that happen online, you can tell if it's a good book based off those numbers as well. So this is something that you can incorporate into every other avenue that you're trying to sell books on. Um, Basically for FBA, for your standard books, okay. Um, for me, I like to keep it to where I'm at least making $3. I need to like be netting $3. Um, and on those lower end profit books, you want to stay under a million rank, okay? Under a million, usually under 500,000 is my go-to for books like that. Now, e-score and rank, all the rank is basically out of roughly 25 million. So 25 million is the highest, one is the lowest.
Yeah.
The higher the rank is of a book, the slower it's selling. So every single day that that book doesn't sell, it's going up more and more in the sales rank on Amazon. Um, and you're able to use that to help you identify how fast a book is selling, which means how popular the book is. Now, for me, even though I tell you under a million, there are plenty of books that I sell on a daily, weekly basis that are over a million, over 4 million, over 6 million, 8 million. And those are going to be books that either A, the prices that people have them listed at are inaccurate compared to what, if you check Keepa, you can see what they're actually selling for. Or B, there's no book active, which are mine and Max's favorite books. No, there
Right.
if there's no active listings under that book, you can go back and look at Keepa and see what the price point was that it sold for, and you can target that for what you have your price for your book. And this same thing can help you cull your inventory because like you said, you have I noticed in your questions, you have a lot of books that are, on other platforms that are really low profit books, low
Yeah.
end on that.
Yeah. That I just picked up at like an estate sale, and I'm like, what the hell? I'll list it. And
Yeah.
then, but now I've gotten to where I'm maxed out on my storage. My apartment is now overflowing with books. So I gotta put those on Amazon, on FBA, or just get rid of them.
Well, let me tell you my thoughts on that. So if there were any books on those platforms that were worth money, somebody would have bought them and resold them. Even though they're not the most popular platforms, there's a lot of resellers out there who are able to, like, they have machine learning, they have stuff where they can find a book that's profitable somewhere else, buy it and resell it. So in my opinion, for you, start fresh, man. You've got you now have a tool that you don't have to do your research on every single book. You're still going to have to do your research on some books, but not most of your books you're going to be able to look at, like, okay, what do people have it listed at? What is the sales rank? What is the e-score? And you can just determine it based on that as to whether you should be sending it in FBA, whether you should be putting it merchant fulfilled, or whether you should just be moving on with your life. Because just because you have the book, just because you own the book, it doesn't mean that you have to try and sell the book.
Right.
Because I'm sure at this point, you can find books every day if you wanted to. If you wanted to today, you could spend 3 hours and probably find somebody's collection of books and go buy it for a couple $100 if you wanted to. So don't let the fact that you own books keep you from targeting selling books that people actually want. There's going to be plenty of books people just don't want them. And I would highly suggest, just especially the ones that are listed at a lower price, get them to a Goodwill, get them
Yeah.
somewhere, get them out, because you're paying storage unit fees, and that stuff, I know I'm not telling it somebody doesn't, that's not cheap.
No.
It's expensive. And if you have any books that are in there that you haven't sourced through yet, I would be when I know you have to you said you have to make sure before you're gone that you're not leaving your wife in a situation. But when I come back, my target would be clear everything that has to do with your storage units out, as in get rid of the duds, pull the ones that you know are good, and then stop paying for those, because I guarantee you don't need them in your current situation.
Yeah.
And then do the same thing, but with all the stuff you have inside your house. Just get yourself to a clean slate on so that you can have a nice organization for how you want to send things in, or put
Yeah, and
them
I have made
out.
a list of every book that I have that's under $15. And I'm dividing it into, should I send it to FBA or just Goodwill?
Well, let the numbers tell you, man. Let
Yeah,
the let
that's
the let the you have a do you have Scout IQ yet?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is
you
that
got
I
to fix
take
the
it back.
process. You got to fix
Yeah.
the process here.
So this is what I'm trying to say here too. I know that this software stuff's going to add up in cost, but it's going to be less than the cost of your storage units where you're storing all this stuff right
Yeah.
now. By a landslide. So you definitely want Scout IQ. You definitely want to get a listing software. And I'm sure if you don't have either one of those, you don't have a repricer yet either. So, like Max was talking about, how your pictures can is your selling point on eBay. It's the opposite on Amazon. Okay, people are buying books with the same stock photo every day, all day. Don't get bogged down in the description at all. Okay, unless there is something, like if you were to buy the book and it wasn't in that description that it would bother you, then put it down in that description. But if it doesn't, move on. Move on to the next one. This is the benefit, like EJ was saying, is I can list, or my lister can do 45 listings in it within an hour. I mean, at a if that's a slow pace, kind of, so you're able to process these things a lot faster sending them into Amazon versus eBay. um yeah, you're definitely starting like fresh. So there's other things, you can check back on our history as far as understanding what Keepa is, which is another thing it's another
Yeah.
software to get. But as far as a repricer goes, to start with reprice it. It's relatively cheap. It does what it needs to do. It reprices your books, because again, it's not Amazon's different from eBay in the sense of people want the best price for the book when they go to Amazon. And if you're not repricing, you're going to lose sales on a daily basis, not repricing your books. I mean, you're going to lose thousands of dollars in sales every month, just by not having your books priced accordingly, because somebody may choose to go with another bookseller just because they're a penny cheaper than you are.
Mhm.
And that's just the nature of Amazon. So have that repricer. I know you've heard us talk about Keepa on the show. Keepa would be the other thing that you want, because those oddball books where, you know, let's say for instance, there's only 3 copies available. Everybody has their copy listed at $350. Your sales rank is at 7 million. Well, that is a type of book that I'm going to check Keepa on, because you're like, okay, if it's an expensive book and it's just a slow seller, you know that you'll be able to identify that. But more often than not, when you have a high sales rank on something like that, it's because people aren't pricing it according to
Right.
what people are
It's
willing to
sold
buy.
once and it was for like $5, but
Right,
the copies are 300.
but also another part is it sells, but it sells for $75.
Oh, okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, there are definitely those weird ones where they're like $5, they're nothing books, and people, the price repricers are just gone wild. But there's also those books where, people are just asking more than what the market's willing to pay for it right now. And so you just price your book according to what you see the history on Keepa of what the market's willing to pay for that type of book, and then you'll get a sale. You're turning a book that you would have sent in, and your repricer would have gone against $350 and it wouldn't have sold, to a book that you'll guarantee be the next sale, because you're the only one pricing the book at the appropriate price. for it. This is, starting from a clean slate. This is a long road to try and spill out in this sort of time frame. But yeah, that
Let me ask you a question though, because like say you and I have a copy of the same edition of the same book,
sure.
and we both are using repricer. Isn't that gonna just run our both our prices down
Not
to
not not really, because most people are going to have it to where your repricer is going to match those numbers versus just penny drop, which is not a terrible strategy either. But as it's pricing down, even if you lose an extra $5, because the price drops a little bit below what people are willing, or below like the average price that it usually sells for, the book is still going to sell, either your copy or their copy. And it's not the only time that like that penny problem is an issue would be for the types of books where people are just targeting the prime bump for. So by that I mean when you look at a book and you scan it, you see all the there's 150 merchant fulfilled offers for $5 or $6, but there's a few FBA offers and they're trying to get 25, $35 for it. That's not it's a strategy some people use, and sometimes you'll sell a book that way. You may even sell it a decent amount of the time. I don't like to do that because I want to just have a good sustainable business model that's not based off of those types of issues. Also, you'll run into the issue where Amazon will give you a high price error. If they go through on their inventory, they'll notice those things and you'll get that, and that's the issue down the line as well. But really, that penny dropping really only affects those types of books. Um, I would just send it. Don't worry too much about the details. Just get inventory in. As a new person, you're going to mess up. You're going to send in bad inventory. You're going to have stuff you're going to have returned or disposed of or whatever it might be. But they will be marginal compared to what your profits will be if you're consistent on sending stuff in every day.
And you have
and
the inventory to do that. So,
Exactly.
today, I'm going to almost demand it from you. You need to get Scout IQ.
okay.
You're going to have to get Scout IQ. There will be a learning curve, but you have Cody and I to help you through that process. But this is going to be the biggest tool for you to start making more money than what you're doing now, because I think, Cody, tell me if you agree. Ned, I think you're spending a little bit too much time thinking about the books and not using what we always say, which is use the data that's available to you to price the books.
That way when you're holding on to this stuff, I'm not saying you're holding on to it, but the time that you're spending on every other aspect, things are just going to continue to pile up, and
Yeah,
it's never nothing ever. You want to build your business model based off of data. Like that's going to be, if it sells, it sells. If it sells for $5, move on with what you with anything, because you can find those books that sell for $5. I mean,
everywhere. Yeah.
literally everywhere. So,
And I
um,
think I think Cody with Ned right off the bat, if he could just get Scout IQ going and just scan those barcode books that he has building up behind him, I
mhm.
think he's going to find some great surprises in there, valuable surprises. He's also going to start clearing up that space to get out of the
Yeah,
warehouse.
I've been looking up the price of books like on Bookfinder.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
see, yeah, you're taking that process down to a tenth of the time that is
yeah,
taking you currently. You can scan it. Most of your books you can identify if it's good FBA right off the bat. It's just a small percentage of those books that you're going to have to do a little bit of extra work and research on to find that out. But I mean, if it were me in your spot in this exact moment, I would be putting everything else to the side. I wouldn't try and add more business models on top of what you have. I would cull your inventory, cull through everything. You'll be very surprised at how many books that are just not worth your time to waste on. Um, and also surprised at the kind of money you'll be able to make on Amazon. But this is also going to make sure you're sending in, but it's a better identifier on what you're sending into Amazon as well, so that you're not sending in duds, which can happen. It's kind of misleading sometimes. But call through your inventory, get your Amazon and eBay thing running. You can always add other platforms, always add other revenue streams down the line. But get that machine running to where you have a sustainable business model that's making you money every day. Then you can start going and adding, like Whatnot or other platforms to that business. But get what's going to be your bread and butter every day, which is your two main platforms running and rolling, and be able to branch off onto there, and be willing to immediately get rid of a book if it's not, if you're seeing the comps are like $4 or $5, just put it in the move on
Goodbye.
box. Yeah,
Goodbye.
yeah,
You're
absolutely.
gonna have to get rid of inventory.
Yeah,
And
that's fine. I've got it. I know I started out bass backwards, like,
yeah, but
just
based on what Cody and I have talked about the past few episodes, there's ways to monetize that stock too. We can talk about that at another time for you. But I want to see you definitely moving forward with Scout IQ into Amazon, and then get a little bit more established on eBay, and just put Whatnot aside for a couple weeks
yeah.
until you get going with these other two platforms. And it's gonna make a world of difference because the money's gonna be coming in daily for you.
Yes. You will definitely see. I mean, because even as the beautiful thing that's changed with Amazon recently, instead of there being restock limits, it's based off of cubic feet, right? So even brand new sellers they get 100 cubic feet is what you start out with. And I don't know if you understand what that means for books, but
10 by 10,
that's roughly that's
5,
roughly
10.
4,000 books. It's
Yeah.
roughly 4,000 books. And so you could be sending in an insane amount of these books straight there out of your space. Target your limited space for your eBay or your merchant fulfilled if you go down the merchant fulfilled route. And again, it's like Max said, you can always add Whatnot to that later. But again, it's not like all those Whatnot type of books you'll be able to find on a daily basis. There's so much more common than these other books that you're going to make more money on the platforms you need to get established on. And having everything cold first off before you add more inventory to it is going to allow you to have a good workflow.
Yep.
Because if you don't have a good workflow, it'll all pile up all over again. It'll all become, I've got to get another unit because I'm running out of space. But once you get yourself started on a good work, and you say you started back asswards, most people start that way, dude. Like almost everybody's questions are they target and they think about other specific things when in reality they should be focusing on get finding specifically good profiting books that sell, and that's it. If you can do that to start with, and you have that running, and you have it running to where it's making the number that you want, then you can add all the other stuff on top of that you want to add. But if you don't have that running, you don't really have a book business. You just have books, you know?
Yeah.
We are living in a great time to be a bookseller. I mean, we are living in a great time where the data is available to us, no matter what platform we're selling on. And you just have to be open and assimilate to each of the platforms. And both you and EJ are going to be diving into both platforms. In 3 more months, you're all going to be talking about the great sales you're making. So we're 90 days away from that great conversation. I think Cody, in a couple months, we should have EJ and Ned back on the show and
Accountability.
talk about accountability, where they are now, and also what's so important is what they learned in those 90 days.
And Ned too, we will absolutely, you can look back and see from our previous broadcast. We'll obviously go through this stuff again, but don't wait on us to go through this. There are copious, the amount of stuff that's on YouTube right now for Scout IQ, or for your repricer, or for any of this stuff. It's out there. You can become a Scout IQ master today if you wanted to spend an extra few hours just looking at what it means. And again, the only thing that I will say is don't just rely on red or green, because If you do, you're gonna miss out on some of the higher profit books that either are that there's
Yeah,
no
I remember
listing.
you talking about uh, some of that on the last show.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
you'll pick this up quickly because you have Cody and I to support you along with all the members in the Discord
Hmm.
who are doing Amazon. So you have the support behind you. So, I want you to tell me today that you've ordered Scout IQ
I,
and
I will.
and you're
As
and
soon
you're
as
ready
we're
to
off of
go.
this,
And Cody and I will be available to you today on Discord or private messages if you have questions on just getting everything going.
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
EJ, I don't want to forget you with a couple questions. You had questions about shipping and boxes and something.
You know, the main thing I'd love to cover, thanks for remembering, is international shipping.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
So just to explain what's happened, I've had 2 international orders. The people emailed me saying I would love to buy this item, but eBay is giving me like a $300 or $400 shipping cost. Is there any way? So, basically what I would do is like the first one, it was a $90 item. I looked up how much it was gonna cost me, and I ended up raising, I just did free shipping for $209.
You put the shipping charge into the price of the book,
Yeah, just because I didn't know what else to do. I'm
right?
sure there's better ways that are more honest for the customer and for me.
Mhm.
And neither of them have arrived yet. So I'm still, and I just tracked one,
Yeah.
So anyway, I would love to just
Yeah.
hear what your process is for international orders. Are you going through eBay international shipping or?
Yeah. I'm going to make your life so easy by the end of this brief conversation here. Just click on eBay International Shipping. Sometimes I'll get questions about the price of the shipping charges is a little bit too much money for that person who may be buying in Israel or South America or the Netherlands, wherever it's going, or Australia. The way you can play with that is just by changing maybe the shipping weight or the dimensions of the book in the box.
Okay.
If you're using a box for the book, we'll just show, if I'm shipping a book to Australia and I'm using a box like this,
Mhm.
You can make the box a little bit smaller,
Mhm.
which will affect and lessen the price of the shipping charges to the buyer. But to be real honest with you, I just do international shipping. What eBay says is what I abide by. And
eBay can do it a lot cheaper than you
yeah,
can.
and
Yeah.
efficiently.
I
And
think
if
that the
if it's
problem is for these people, I went on that and did it from their end kind of, and it did show it was I don't know what's going on. It showed to ship a little set. The
Mhm,
customer was shown $380
right.
for shipping to Chile.
Yeah.
Then I did the whole thing, raising the price and go to ship it, and just went through eBay International, didn't go through pirate ship, and it was 60 to $100. It was in line with what it should have been.
Right, but
So
I think they're also getting charged more when they pick it up because they're getting taxed on that you're not seeing.
okay, so eBay's running. So if I get these messages, just say like, sorry,
eBay
that's
takes
what
care
it
of
is.
everything, right?
This is also customs, any taxes you might have to
Sure.
pay.
And if it's we'll just take for instance this $90 book. If you need to make this sale, don't be afraid to make that $90 and $80 book. Say, look, I'll take $10 off of the price to help you with the shipping charges.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Okay.
that's all it takes to finalize that deal. It's like the Glengarry Glen Ross movie, always be closing ABC. So whatever you
Great
need to
movie.
do, close that deal, sell that book. But I can tell you this, I ship internationally every day of my life, and very rarely do I ever have issues. No matter what country that person is in, if they're contacting you because they want the book. So you're already closing that deal because they're coming to you with a question. Do whatever you need to do to close that deal, but just allow eBay to do what eBay does good at, which is they do a great job with international shipping.
Okay.
I can't argue the price of taxes in other countries. I just have the book that the person wants, and I am willing to ship it to them.
Yeah. And it leads you through it beautifully. You add the international,
Yeah.
there's like 2 numbers you put in, right? 2 codes. You add those. And then it was one of those things I anticipated it to be more difficult, and it was too easy. And so I was like, I'm watching you, and now I'm worried that they're going to be caught up in customs. And
Well, I would rather you not add the shipping charge to the price of the book. I'd rather you let eBay do what eBay does.
okay,
And when you have no headache, then, in the event the book gets lost or it doesn't make it, you are covered by eBay and you will get 100% refunded on that. And that's sort of a weight off your back too.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. So far, it hasn't been worth just the stress of like wondering if they're going to get there.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah, and
So-
don't be afraid to throw some questions about that on the Discord. I know we have a lot of people who do international shipping as well. And I love the conversations on our Discord. It's second to none to me. It's sort of encyclopedic with all the great things coming into that every day. Cody, I think we're beyond our hours we usually do on this. I thank you, Ned and EJ, for the questions. I do. We're going to have an open invitation to both of you for the same show in a couple months. And I know that both of you are going to have new kind of stores going on based on the conversations we had before we went live. So I'm going to be very excited to see what's going on with that. Cody, any final words for you?
No, just keep in mind, guys, if you want to be a part of this and want to be a part of our community, Paper Gold, we will put the link in the description below. My camera just went off. It just is telling me ahead of the time that is the end. But yeah, just check us out. We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Episode 3.
Thanks,
Bye-bye,
guys. Bye.